Hello and welcome to today's webinar, an introduction to Project Pause. If you are a woman, whether you are premenopausal, perimenopausal, or postmenopausal, you are in the right place today because we all go through menopause. We have a 100% chance of going through this transition. So I'm going to be going through the physiology. Project Pause is set up to help women understand hormone physiology and find renewed purpose in menopause through nutrition and lifestyle. If we have not yet met, my name is Brigitte Spurgeon. I'm a holistic nutritionist, which means that I believe in the body's incredible ability to heal from the inside out. And I help individuals use food and lifestyle to heal their body. So I'm so excited for you to join me today in understanding the basics, understanding some things which a lot of people really don't know about how our hormones are synthesized and about some of the symptomatology that comes with menopause. And then my goal is to give you hope today because a lot of women that are going through this transition feel hopeless. They don't have the support that we need. There's a lot of medical understanding that is missing. There's really an information gap that I've identified in my personal research. And that's why I'm committed to educating. My background's actually in microbiology and immunology. And so I find great passion in going into the research articles and understanding the pathways and the biochemistry. So, one of the things that I do is explain that in simple terms so that you can understand more about your body. When you understand that, we can address the root cause of the issues and we can address that in natural ways. I stated earlier that I'm a nutritionist, so I do just want to make clear up front, I'm not a medical doctor. Nothing I say is designed to diagnose or treat any medical conditions. This is purely for educational purposes. I do have a background in clinical work, working with chiropractors. And so I do have a lot of clinical understanding, which really helps me as I'm working one-on-one with my clients. So when I'm sharing this information, just understand that I have to take this broader approach because I'm speaking to everyone. But if there are specific things, then I'm happy to work with you one-on-one. Feel free to find me by searching my name. My website is just brigittespurgeon.com. You can find me on social media platforms, whether that be YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook or LinkedIn. You just have to type in my name, Brigitte Spurgeon. So I'm really thankful to a friend of mine, LaDonna, who asked me to share this information. She and her peers are going through this menopause transition currently and are just struggling with things like weight gain, hot flashes, night sweats, some of those typical symptoms that we associate with menopause. And it was just really perfect timing for me because I'm 47. I am actually late stage perimenopause, having a couple symptoms myself. And so I have been in that research for myself personally. But then also my background when I worked clinically was helping people lose weight, helping them heal their metabolism and insulin resistance. And what was so amazing is, and I did not intend for this, but probably, 70 to 80% of my clients were and still are peri or postmenopausal women. And what was really cool is just seeing their menopausal symptoms reduce or completely go away, and just to see these women find victory in their health, obviously to see them lose weight, to see their inflammation to go down, come off of medications, get their energy back, their drive, their confidence back has been so rewarding for me. So once again, dealing in this era of menopause was not my initial intent, but I am committed to this cause moving forward because I realize that this group of women are not supported, certainly not in the medical model, and they're the group that probably need the most support. I just think of, one of the statistics is women reach the peak of their career leadership and financial earnings around the age of 45. And what also happens around the age of 45 is we're in perimenopause. And the thing is, women continue to perform really well, but I just think of the effort and the stress and the energy that it takes out of them to be in the competitive workforce. And then, when they get home, they have less for their families. And at the end of the day, they have nothing left for themselves. And I see so many women who just, they're not putting their needs and their health first in their lives when it needs to be, and it's just because there's so much else going on. But in this transition, our health really needs to take priority. And so my goal today is to give you hope, to give you encouragement, to provide resources for you. But if there are just a couple of action steps that you can take from today, I believe that that is going to help you tremendously as you move forward. So let's get started. A lot of people don't know that there are about 70 symptoms associated with menopause. Like, everyone knows hot flashes and night sweats, but I feel like, well, maybe something like vaginal dryness or osteoporosis, certainly the weight gain is a big one. But there are so many symptoms that what happens is there's this onslaught of symptomatology, let's just call it after 40s or after 45. And then what happens is an individual is going to different specialists, chasing the symptomatology, but also just confused about what is going on. A lot of women aren't receiving the treatment that they need, certainly not for underlying causes or for the symptomatology. They are labeled. This is actually coming from a medical doctor, Dr. Mary Claire Hager. She shares in her experience as an OBGYN that women were labeled as WWs, as whining women, when they come with this slew of symptoms and complaints to their physician. And this is just really, really sad to me. But look at some of these main symptoms, and if you identify with them, if you're going through them, then you are not alone. You are not going crazy. This is just something that can happen when we're not supporting our body properly, when we have a decline in our hormones. So low energy and fatigue, insomnia, brain fog, memory loss, can feel like some cognitive decline. I'm actually going to talk about this in a little bit more detail because some really important research is being brought to light now as far as the link between our mental health and our brain function and menopause. Like I said, weight gain is a big one, and that's what I end up dealing with a lot. But what happens when we have that hormone decline is our cortisol actually goes up. This is an autonomic response. So our sympathetic nervous system is heightened, which is an increase in cortisol. And so this affects abdominal weight gain for women. Another thing that happens is we have this metabolic decline, this insulin resistance that starts to happen. And so women are more sensitive to carbs. So how this plays out is you gain some weight. So you're like, oh, okay, let me just lose some weight the way that I've lost it in the past. And the things that you're trying now are not working like they did before. And your body is just more sensitive to inflammation, to carbohydrates, and to stress. Then headaches and migraines is a big one, and those can be hormonal. They also can be related to nutrient deficiencies, and then of course there can be neurological causes there, depression, anxiety, even things like ADHD, bipolar, suicidal thoughts. In fact, here's a statistic that a woman is most likely to commit suicide between the age of 45 and 55. What else is going on during that time frame in a woman's life? And that's really sad to me. And I really have heard women just feel like they're going crazy with the depressive thoughts and even suicidal thoughts. And once again, I just want to let you know that if this is you, you are not alone, and there are reasons for this, and there are ways that we can support your physiology, your brain, and your hormones with good nutrition. Then there's vaginal dryness, which then itself can cause painful sex. There's osteoporosis, so that's bone loss. Sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. Slightly related to this, but a lot of people don't know that frozen shoulder is a menopause symptom for women. If you're someone that's dealt with that, I in fact dealt with that beginning of this year, and sometimes it can just be from some, maybe a workout. For me, it was surfing, and the shoulder, my shoulders just didn't heal. And then after a few months, I honestly realized my mobility had been drastically affected. I was having some inflammation. And so what happens in menopause, because, and I'm going to speak about this in a second too, but I'm getting ahead of myself, but estrogen is such a powerful anti-inflammatory. And so now when we have that decline, now all the inflammation, pain comes up, and we just notice that more. And just to skip ahead, I'll let you know, fortunately, I was able to heal the frozen shoulder I did some water fasting, just a couple of water fasts, was able to heal that 100%. But, for women dealing with that, I've heard that it can take 2 years to get through, to work through, to heal with physical therapy and so forth, to work through frozen shoulder, which is quite a tough thing. Then you look at things. Actually, this is another big one that I do hear from my clients, hair thinning. And there's also multiple causes to that, but hormonal changes are a big one. Also, not having the nutrients that you need. There's some gut health things there. Changes in skin. So this list goes on and on. High blood pressure. We'll talk about so elevated cholesterol, but I actually don't consider this a symptom. High cholesterol is actually something that happens for good reason in your body when you do have hormonal changes. We'll address that in a few slides as well. So if you're having any of these, count this as hope today, because when we look at the root cause, and understanding that, when you can just say, okay, I know what's causing this, it's my shift in hormones, then what we need to do is we need to address the hormones. So let me go firstly just into the phases of menopause. So when we're talking about those, you can understand what they are. So I mentioned premenopause. Premenopause is in your healthy hormone cycle. Okay, so that would be a woman in normal reproductive age, so producing eggs. So basically in perimenopause is now when we start to see this decline in hormone, where we're getting towards the end of our egg supply. So at birth, a woman has all of her eggs. It's different from men with sperm, which is created on demand, but women have all their eggs in their ovaries at birth. And so there's just a certain number that we have. And so as we get towards the end of those, we start having that hormonal decline. So it's this natural transition towards menopause, and that's marked by a decline in progesterone and estrogen. And so this is when periods start to change, whether that be your period is, a lot of times this happens like at 40, a little after 40, maybe you start getting heavier periods. or their duration. So, maybe you have 5-day periods and they go to 3 days, or they go to 7 days. So they just become irregular. And then also your cycle can change. Maybe your cycle lengthens or shortens. So just some weird changes start to happen. I remember when I was going through that in my early 40s. This decline can start at 35 though, so that's not unusual, but the symptoms normally are coming on and more apparent in the early and mid 40s. So just to differentiate here, you do have late stage perimenopause. And so at this stage is when you notice you're skipping periods, or you may be having a period like every 3 to 4 months. I'm in that stage now myself. And sometimes that's when you first notice that, oh, okay, something's going on here, which was a little bit like me. I really didn't notice perimenopause until I started realizing, oh, well, gosh, I'm not really getting a regular period at all anymore. This must be perimenopausal. But this is the phase that honestly can be the worst for women. So this is known for significant symptoms. And I do have a diagram that just will be able to show you what this looks like. But let's just discuss actual menopause real quick. Menopause is actually a moment in time, or a day in time. This is at the end of your final period. The weird thing about this is obviously when you have it, you don't know that it's your final period. So this is only diagnosed 12 months after that last period. So technically you can celebrate that moment of menopause at that 12-month mark. Okay, I've had 12 months where I have not had a period. The average age for this in Western cultures is 51 years old. So we see that, let's call it like 45 to mid to late 50s is when that is happening. Then after that stage, that is postmenopause. And this really is a new stage of life. It honestly is something that should be celebrated. We've exited that stage of reproducing, of having children, of being fertile, and now we've closed that door and said, okay, we're ready for the next phase. And this is something that I believe we should just have a really beautiful mindset around this. I do believe it should be celebrated, and there's a place of really just accepting this new stage of life. And I do believe it is an opportunity to, in essence, like renovate our bodies. Something that a theme through my career has been transforming your temple, the temple that God gives us, and just taking care of the temple. But really, when we get to this transition in life, that's a great opportunity to assess and renovate our temple, renovate our body for a new purpose, for a new season. And I think that can be quite exciting, and a time also to embrace the wisdom that life has given you, to reflect on a life well lived, or a life that you did the very best that you can, and look forward to some new things. So symptoms can continue during postmenopause, but they do come to an end. All right, for some people, it might be just right then. Symptoms diminish, but for some people, it can be a few years. Now, I believe when we do this well, we can have minimal symptoms when we support our body. I don't believe that it's the body's optimal design to have all of these symptoms. So I believe that our body adapts to a different stage of hormone production. So this is what it looks like here. So on this chart, if we see on the left side, so this is perimenopause starting, you see the level of hormone there, okay? So we can't change that we're having this hormone decline. This is going to happen because those ovaries are no longer producing the hormones. Now, what you're going to learn about is we have other like the adrenal glands, for example, can produce hormones and they can take over. But we have this, like the ovarian function is going down. But what we can do as it's going down is we can support, for example, our adrenal health, our brain health, so that we can set ourselves up for postmenopause to have proper, stable hormone function. So hopefully this just gives you a good visual of what this looks like over time. That black line there you see is that day that menopause happens, and then we have post-menopause where our hormones stabilize out, and now they just, our body adapts to functioning at that hormone level. So let's talk about, when we talk about hormone decline, the main, for women, the main hormones we're talking about are estrogen and progesterone. We also have testosterone. Those are going to be our main sex hormones. There's some other players there as well. We have FSH, LH, things like that. But the main one being estrogen. And so let's talk about that for a second. There are actually 3 types of estrogen. So there's estrone, which is E1. Estrone is it's not as strong as E2 estradiol. It's produced by, in the brain by the fat, but by other places in the body. Estradiol E2 is our strongest estrogen, and that is produced by the ovaries. And then we have estriol, which is produced during pregnancy. So I'm not really going to focus on that one too much. But the estrone and the estradiol are the important players here. So we see that estradiol decrease. Just as a side note, like normally in like if you have bioidentical hormone therapy, it's typically, not all the time, but they'll do that estradiol, the E2, because it is the strongest one. So hormones are for our reproductive years, are mainly produced by the ovaries. For reproduction, we need a higher level. When we're not preparing to make babies, we don't need as much hormones anymore. That's just our physiological needs. But what is cool is there are other parts of the body that are set up to produce hormones as well. So believe it or not, I didn't really do this in too much order, but the adrenals are big players. Adrenals can produce all the hormones that we need. We have brain adipose tissue, which is our fat. Something called aromatization happens, where our fat takes testosterone and turns it into estrogen. We have our colon, our gut, and our heart as well. So I mentioned earlier, estrogen is highly anti-inflammatory, and so that's why we start to have joint pain when we have that decline during menopause. Estrogen is responsible for brain communication, and so that plays a role in our cognitive function and our even just with our moods, and with, like, for example, serotonin, which can relate to depression and anxiety and so forth. Estrogen also impacts our microbiome, and so we have changes in the microbiome, which then can affect nutrient absorption. This is probably why we see a clinical relationship with vitamin D as well, and then also cholesterol. So we do see, and I had done this research because I've been doing a lot of research on cholesterol over the years. I've always had I have a hypothesis about the need for cholesterol in our body, and so I've always kept up on the research, gosh, for probably the last 15 to 20 years. And so what's really interesting is with menopausal women, we see a huge correlation with cholesterol going up. Now, when I done the research, I was like, okay, it's just, you see that, this like 25% increase in cholesterol. But I was listening to an OBGYN, and who works only with menopausal women, and she said close to 100% of her patients, they have elevated cholesterol. Now, I believe there's a purpose in that, and you'll see that on my next slide. But what's interesting is it's the same, the vitamin D, there's a link with vitamin D and cholesterol. And so the same doctor was saying that in 80% of her patients, so almost 100%, you see this increase in cholesterol, and almost 80%, she was saying that they have decrease in their vitamin D labs. So this is really, really interesting. So let's look at hormone synthesis when it comes to our sex hormones, which is our progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. Let's look at what that pathway looks like. And if you look at that slide, so we start in the top left, we start at, what is that? Cholesterol, okay? So the cholesterol goes to pregnenolone, and then that goes to progesterone, DHEA, and so on. We see cortisol in there. You see those, we've already spoken about estrone, which is E1, estradiol, which is E2. So when we look at this, this is showing us the importance of cholesterol, especially when we no longer have our ovaries making that estrogen and progesterone. They have other parts in the body, but we need the building blocks of the hormones. So we need the cholesterol. So that makes sense. That's in our body's beautiful design, that as our hormones start to decline, that, because guess what? Cholesterol is, a lot of people associate cholesterol with cholesterol in our foods, but that only accounts for like 25% of our cholesterol. So cholesterol is made in the body. Cholesterol is made, 25% of our cholesterol is actually made in the brain, and cholesterol is made by our liver. And so this just lets us know of our body's intelligence of, yep, we need cholesterol to make those hormones. So the body is doing what it is designed to do when that cholesterol is raised. So then what happens if you try and lower your cholesterol, whether that be a medication, a statin, or you try and if you stop eating the cholesterol foods, you're not giving your body the building blocks it needs to make the hormones that you need when they are naturally declining. I hope that makes sense, and I hope there's some aha moments there. So let's move on. This is linked to the cholesterol, but this is some research done by Dr. Lisa Mosconi. She's a neuroscientist, and I just think this is interesting and a really important piece of what we're going through here as women. So we see on the left, this is actually the brain of a 43-year-old pre-menopause, okay? And so, or before menopause, when it is white there, that really light, bright color, that represents brain activity. So we're looking at this really healthy brain activity in that first brain. After menopause, we see a significant change in the brain. We see all that brightness has dissipated. It's gone away. It's a little bit more orange and gray over there. And this is actually quite scary because, once again, so we see less brain activity after menopause. So in her research, and she has a great TED Talk, you can go look her up, but in her research, she sees the impact of the decline of estrogen and progesterone on the hypothalamus. So this is the region of the brain. Honestly, it's responsible for a lot, but it is responsible for temperature regulation, hence hot flashes, night sweats, trouble sleeping. Spoke to someone recently. It was like, I'm either hot or I'm cold. There's no in between. The temperature regulation is just off. I have experienced some hot flashes myself, and it's just awful. It's like, you don't, before you've ever had one, it just doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is awful when you experience them. And my gosh, mine have only been mild. I've heard women talk about being in a business meeting and just like breaking out in a sweat and going red in their face, and it's like the world around you stands still. I can't imagine. So I'm blessed. I've only had very mild symptoms of that. But then we'll look at the brain stem, and this impacts our sleep. The amygdala, that affects memory and mood. This is wild. 2/3 of Alzheimer's cases are women. That means double the amount, like there are 2 times more cases of women than men. And so what they found is with women, when they go through menopause, they have a 20% increase in amyloid plaques, which are a risk factor for Alzheimer's. A lot of women don't know this, but having a hysterectomy correlates with a higher risk of dementia. So, this is one of the things that fuels me to get this information out to everyone, to support people through this transition, is to help prevent. I have a grandmother on my mother's side, and then a grandmother on my husband's side, who died with dementia, with Alzheimer's. And many people who've dealt with this. And I think that's probably, when we talk about health fears, certainly we can have a fear of like heart disease, cancer, but I think probably the biggest fear that people have is Alzheimer's, right? Is dealing with dementia issues. It's very, very sad to me. And so if we can just support women properly to help nourish their brains during this transition, I believe that we can help to prevent dementia. So this is why I have designed Project Pause. So this is my 5-pillar approach to healing the body naturally, to supporting the body as hormones decline, to supporting all the other parts of the body, the brain, the adrenal glands, the metabolism, kidneys, liver, the heart, preparing the body so that it can adapt well to these hormone changes, also supporting women as they navigate and deal with the symptoms, and helping to decrease and eliminate these symptoms. But then just remove all this interference, so that as women, we can go through this phase and truly experience renewed purpose and have vitality and joy and peace and energy and feel amazing and have confidence, because that's what you deserve. And feel supported and feel community. That's another big part of this, is a lot of women go through this and just feel alone. And community, by the way, is that's healing for our body. That's actually part of what helps us through this process. So the 5 pillars are nutrition. That's the first one. And obviously, I have a bias because I am a nutritionist. However, working with my patients, I see how just focusing on this one has such incredible critical benefits. We see weight loss. We see decreasing inflammation in the body, decreasing pain in the body. We see just so many benefits coming off of medications, adapting to stress better. There's so many benefits in the body just from focusing on this one thing. So now imagine if then we focus on these other things. So the next thing is exercise. The thing with exercise is the type of exercise we need for a lot of women changes when we go through this hormonal change, because of what I spoke about earlier. I think I spoke about this in reference to weight gain and cortisol, because our body is in a sympathetic state predominantly as we go through this change. So the exercise, like for example, training for a marathon, doing those like endurance sports, high intensity exercises are not the best thing for us. So we actually need more rest and more, you could do a strength training is important, for example. Impact training is important, like jumping, jump rope, rebounding. So those things are important. Plyometrics are important. Strength training is important. But one example is just we might need more rest days between high intensity workouts, and then integrating some things like maybe it's yoga, Pilates, things like that. Sleep, paramount. That's always been my superpower, is sleep, but prioritizing sleep. But in fact, women need more sleep, especially going through this phase. More rest on weekends, more vacations. I'm just going to give you permission to sleep in, to rest more, to take naps, and to have more vacations. There, I said it. The fourth pillar is toxins. And so obviously that is removing toxins, detoxing, but specifically endocrine disruptors. So it's things like, if I were to give you maybe the top two things I would say that you need to remove from your lifestyle, it's number one, plastic bottles. And the very best you can do, removing plastics and microplastics. And the second one is don't use perfumed products, perfumes, colognes, things like that. They are awful hormone disruptors. So those are really simple things that you can do. Oh, another one would be deodorant. I haven't used deodorant in years and years and years. Maybe switch to an essential oil would be good. Or even if you go from a regular deodorant to a more of a natural deodorant, it's better. And don't use antiperspirant because that's keeping the toxins inside, and that's not good. And then the fifth pillar, which is a really important one, is stress. But I think in Western cultures, that is the hardest one because we are overscheduled. We have so many responsibilities in this season of life. Like I said earlier, we're at the height of our careers. We have kids leaving the house. We might even have kids, having babies and having their own problems that maybe we're supporting them with as grandparents, or we're taking care of elderly parents, and or we're having parents or family members die and we're dealing with grief. It's like we're in a season of life that so much is going on in life, and so it's really hard to navigate. But once again, this is why we need professional support and community, and we need the right tools to help us navigate those. So this is Project Pause that I've designed to help women navigate menopause by healing their body and just having a new outlook on a new season of life. So let me share just some inspiring women that I have worked with through the years. I was just reminded of Diana because she was just working with me this last month. I was supporting her in learning how to water fast. Water fasting is actually part of healing, a really important tool for us. And she had done all the pillars, she'd done all the right things, but this was just the final thing that she needed help with. And so I just supported her with that. But it was just a reminder of her incredible healing journey. She came to me at the end of perimenopause. She had actually, she had come off of birth control, and believe it or not, after that she had lost a little bit of weight, and then she came to me to help her lose more weight. She was struggling to do this, and so she lost 40 pounds, and we helped her. This was actually when I was working in a chiropractic clinic, and so lost 40 pounds, healed her metabolism, and when I say healed her metabolism, like she still experiences incredible metabolic health because she has followed the principles consistently. She does not eat seed oil, she does not eat inflammatory foods. I'm not saying she's perfect, but she exercises. She really does put a priority on her lifestyle and what she puts in her body, and she has found a way where she can control that pretty well, where we all can. And so I'm so proud of her. But once again, lost 40 pounds, got her confidence back, got her zest for life, her energy back. But here's the other cool thing is she said 3 weeks into healing her metabolism, her hot flashes and night sweats stopped, and she hasn't had them since. And so that, once again, she was perimenopausal. So she never had to deal with like that menopause, post-menopause symptom that so many people do. And she's just really been able to enjoy what should be a very special season in our lives as women. And then there's Joy over here. She worked with me on my holistic healing strategy. So that's an 8-week program, walks you through healing the different like organs and systems of your body. She lost 15 pounds. I think she went on to lose a little bit more than that. But for her, it was getting rid of those carb cravings. It was feeling more confident in her body, and in photos, as you can see what a gorgeous figure she can celebrate here in a time where it's really hard for women to lose weight. So just to feel that confidence and not having the bloating anymore, not feeling self-conscious about her stomach. And, she experienced just a new joy in her health and a freedom from food that so often has on our lives. So I just find inspiration and encouragement from these women. And I want you to know that there is a path to healing. There is a path of overcoming and victory when we use food to heal our bodies. So I just wanted to, I'm not going to go in depth in all of the pillars of Project Pause, but I did want to give you some practical things that you can do for your nutrition, or also just so you can see a little bit more how I set up the nutrition part of Project Pause. What part of what Project Pause is doing is I've added on a menopause program basically to my existing programs. My existing programs are so powerful in helping people heal their bodies, lose weight, etc. But this is just adding a menopause focus to them, so it can we can fine tune it just a little bit more and really target all of those symptoms. So I'm going to give you 10 of my top nutrition tips here, and literally if you apply just a few of these, you would do really well. So number one, we've spoken about cholesterol today. So it is incorporating cholesterol foods into your diet. The top 3 foods I would say if your cholesterol are going to be grass-fed butter, shrimp, and eggs. A simple thing that you can do right now is you can incorporate vitamin D as a supplement. We don't want to only rely on supplements for vitamin D, but that is one of the biggest bang for your buck habits that you can incorporate, because most people are deficient, and specifically women going through menopause, their vitamin D levels drop. And so the vitamin D, by the way, is a hormone, and it plays a huge role in our hormone health and in healing your body. So certainly we get this through sun exposure, foods. Cod liver oil would be an example. Wild salmon would be an example. And let me think of another one would be mushrooms. Mushrooms would be another example. Then protein. So here I'm giving you things that are supporting hormone production, protein and glandulars. Protein, because we have to support muscle growth and retention. We've got to support hormone formation. Glandulars as well, if you are perimenopausal. I use glandulars myself. I recommend these to my clients. Glandulars would be like liver, thyroid, ovary, reproductive organ glandulars are really helpful if you're in a perimenopausal phase. Nuts and seeds, these are really powerful for nutrients, specifically minerals like selenium, magnesium, zinc, phosphorus, manganese. So these are really powerful here. And there is something that I teach my clients called seed cycling, something that Dr. Mark Hyman teaches. Now, when we're doing these things to support our hormones, what's really important is that we combine this with anti-inflammatory nutrition. So that's going to be like low carb, and limit your processed foods and the chemicals through our foods, okay? Especially seed oils. I have a webinar on seed oils on my YouTube channel. Just go to Brigitte Spurgeon, look that up. Really important webinar for us to understand there. But really, when I look at my clients that are the most successful, it's the clients that have taken this one here really seriously. Seed oils are awful for inflammation and and just our body being in a disease state. So cut out seed oils. The next one, anti-inflammatory foods, and these are really your whole foods, your colorful foods. But my top two would be curcumin. You could do a curcumin supplement. You can have that in curries, and then berries, blueberries. I try and have blueberries or raspberries, blackberries, strawberries every day. They're super powerful. Oh, goji berries as well. I love those. Had some of those today. The eighth one now. So now we move into, and this is especially important for postmenopausal women, but when we have optimized our natural hormone production, and once again, it's just going to be lower than it was before, but we can also supplement with phytoestrogens. So these are plant estrogens, and we can get those through flax, soy, chickpeas, alfalfa. There are other foods in there, but I just listed some of my favorites. Soy, though, proceed with caution. There are amazing benefits to soy, but it has to be non-GMO, organic soy. Fermented is good. Please reference my webinar on my YouTube channel on soy. I think it was a soy update for 2024. So that one is really important to watch. But honestly, incorporating these, it can be as simple as incorporating these foods to see a decrease or a cessation of hot flashes and night sweats. The ninth one is probiotics. We have to support a diverse and healing microbiome. So multi-strain probiotics are very important, and probiotic foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, or kefir. So probiotics super important. Prebiotics as well in your fibrous foods. And then the 10th one, something I have a webinar on this as well, but fasting variations. But there are specific ways to fast when you're going through hormonal changes. And just for example, I might, if I'm working with a woman premenopausal or perimenopausal, might be different to the way I'm working with someone who's postmenopausal. But this is a fantastic healing tool to have in your back pocket. So I hope this has been helpful. I included, this was just kind of a day of foods as an example, some things that I ate. I've actually been trying to incorporate some chickpeas recently. I used to come up on my allergy test, used to have like a little bit of an IgG response to chickpeas or garbanzo beans. So I had stopped doing hummus and chickpeas several years ago. So now I'm just incorporating them back into my diet. And honestly, just the last few days incorporating these, I've seen a almost elimination of hot flashes. So that has been pretty exciting. Avocado, eggs, there I have some salmon, olives, greens, and then my berries. I have some yogurt, and I have all my seeds on there. I've got pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and sunflower seeds. I think today I incorporated some walnuts with my berries and yogurts there. So just an example of some good healthy eating to nourish our hormones, decrease inflammation, and support our metabolism. So my Project Pause vision is to continue, as I've been doing for years now, but continue helping individuals problem solve, heal their body, transform their lifestyle without medications, to continue to go deeper into the research so that I can continue better educating women. I'd like to create a community and a movement to empower menopausal women. We just need to have more conversation around this, and we need engagement and support. And then I'm in the process. I've created the program already, and that's already implemented implemented with my programs that I help my clients with. But I'd like to create a course specifically going over these five, I call them the five pauses, the pillars, I call the five pauses, helping women pause, understand their body, and apply nutrition and lifestyle for that. And then this has been a dream of mine, and I believe it is going to become a reality very soon. But I would like to host pause retreats for women going through hormone changes to help them to heal their bodies and to celebrate this rite of passage going into the new season of womanhood. So if you would like to onboard with Project Pause, work with me to heal your body, to support your hormones, and to invest into some dreams that you have in the future, I would be absolutely honored. And yeah, a way to get started is really just to schedule a free consult with me. This is if you're on your computer right now, you can use your phone for that QR code. That links you directly to my schedule, and you can schedule that free menopause consult. But if you're on your phone right now, ways that you can schedule with me you can go to my website, brigittespurgeon.com. Just on that first page there, it says work with me. Just click on that button and it will take you to my schedule page. You can also reach that link on my Facebook profile page. Just, I guess, on that profile, you go to links and my schedule is there as well. So thank you so much for joining me today, hanging with me. I hope you learned a lot. Feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions. And otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on the consult. Feel free to join in any one of my communities. I have a fantastic, just a free nutrition group on Facebook. That is where I share a lot of content. So if you connect with me, just ask to join that group and I'll give you it is a private community, so I'll give you an invite into that. All right, beautiful ladies, have a beautiful day and I will see you on the next webinar.